Welcome to the Fit as a Mama Bear podcast. I'm Shelby, a certified strength coach, nutrition coach, mama to two, and all-around health nut. This show is about a little bit of everything healthy, fit, and natural related. So if you're striving to smash goals, eat better, feel better, and enjoy the occasional mom rant, this is the place for you. You're listening in to episode 14 today, where I'm chatting with Brian Keiper, husband, father, teacher, and a 100-pound weight loss success story. Hey everyone, I hope you are all having kick butt weeks and enjoying the slow season change. I personally am not, because I hibernate the second it goes below 10 degrees. I'm pretty excited to introduce my guest today because his story is insanely motivational and it just makes you want to work out. So on the podcast today is Brian Keiper. Brian, am I saying your last name right?
You sure are.
Oh, it's a win. Excellent. Brian is a dad to 3 kiddos, and I'm not even sure how he survives because I can barely handle 2. An elementary music school teacher, and one hell of a success story. So in just over a year, Brian has lost 100 pounds, which is quite a freaking achievement. So Brian, how do you feel when you hear that number?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on today. I'm so glad to be here.
And, I'm happy to have you.
Okay. I am, frankly, it's hard to believe it's even real. When I started losing weight, I had no idea that I even had that much to lose, frankly.
It's a big number. Like, that's a huge thing.
No kidding. No kidding. I had absolutely no clue. And actually, my original goal weight was about 10 pounds heavier than I am now.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So we're obviously going to get into how exactly that weight loss happened. And while his weight loss journey is insanely motivational, and we will discuss it, that's not actually the reason I brought him onto the podcast. So instead, I wanted to chat a little bit more about the mental aspect of weight loss, which is one that doesn't always come up in conversation. Specifically, the battle with depression and how it can be overcome by using exercise. So a few fun facts first. In this podcast episode, we are sharing a story. Neither Brian nor I are doctors or medical professionals. The lesson of the story isn't to throw your medication out the window and begin a crazy exercise routine. Its purpose is to give you some food for thought, some motivation, and some hope. As always, before you begin an exercise program, and especially before you stop taking any medication, please have a chat with your doc and get the all clear. Work with your doctors to hammer out the best solution for you. Okay, so now that we have a fun disclaimer going, so no one just completely abandons all medication.
Please.
Brian, why don't you start off telling me about the weight loss aspect? So was there a big moment? What pushed you to the edge of actually committing to this journey? Because that's a huge, it's a big thing.
Yeah, there was a moment, but there wasn't exactly a lightning bolt.
Okay.
It's hard to describe, so I'll do my best. I was at a 50th anniversary gathering of my high school choir, and it was people from all those 50 years, and there were several people there from my year as well. And what I noticed is we all seemed kind of the same.
Interesting.
Yeah, the overweight ones were all still overweight, including myself. The thin ones and the popular ones, and everyone just kind of seemed in the same place, and especially me. And I felt stuck, like I was letting life happen to me rather than actually taking life on with any kind of vigor or purpose.
So you were overweight in high school then also?
I was
okay.
Overweight pretty much my whole life. I've sometimes described myself as a chubby kid, a fat teenager, and an overweight and an obese adult.
Oh, Lordy. So that was kind of the big moment, though, as you realized you were stuck.
Yeah, I was not the best version of myself that I could be.
And you already had kids at this point?
I did.
Yeah, I did. Okay.
This was about a year ago. My children are now 13, 11, and 9, and so they were obviously a year younger at that time.
Okay, and so what was the first thing you did? If that was your stuck moment, where did you go from there? Did you just go to a gym the next day?
Not exactly. I started with the diet aspect. I started tracking my calories. That was the first thing I did because I had done it before. and
And
had
hang on, I'm
success.
really curious. What were you coming in at calorie-wise? I love hearing calorie numbers.
Oh, okay. Like before, I honestly don't know what my um, what my pre-tracking calories were.
Okay.
I don't know because the day I started tracking, I said I'm gonna keep myself to 2,000 calories.
Okay, that's awesome.
I may have actually gone lower than that now that I think of it. To start with, I really had no idea what I was doing, frankly.
So you just jumped into finding a number and aiming for that.
I did.
That's fantastic.
And I just put a cap on it. I didn't have any idea about macros or
Oh my
anything.
goodness. I love it. I love that you just started though, because that's a huge hurdle in itself. Is everyone is scared to start because they think they have to know so much about nutrition, when really you just need to start and pay attention and kind of tweak.
Yeah, you can lose weight just if your just plan is to lose weight. If you just cut your calories back by no matter what you eat, you will lose weight at first, at least.
Well, no, it's true. When you have a lot of weight to lose, it's not really about the nitpicking types of things. It's just getting a lower calorie count and getting the initial weight loss.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that was a motivation factor, just to lose the weight at first.
And so when did you start working out?
I started working out within a couple of weeks. It was back to things I had been familiar with and comfortable with, things like the elliptical, the bike, just
so more
walking.
Cardio based?
Very cardio based at the time because I was frankly afraid of the weights.
Most people are.
Yeah.
It's really intimidating though if you've never been in that setting and everyone goes to the weights and they do some bicep curls and they're like, well, okay.
Yeah.
Like it's scary.
It is scary, and free weights especially, I think are really scary. Barbells and free weights are frightening at first.
I love them now, but I still remember walking into the gym. This is when I still went to a gym and I didn't have my home set up and I wasn't a trainer. And I wanted to you're trying to be cool at the gym, to be perfectly honest. Like you're trying to not look like an idiot. And I went to sit down on the weight bench to do a bench press and I missed the weight bench and fell on my ass in the middle of the gym. And I don't think I've seen any, I rebounded up from that fall so fast that I was like, it just didn't happen. Didn't happen. Don't need to acknowledge it. Not doing this.
No one saw it happen. It's all good.
It was terrible. So you got more into working out. Now, what does your current workout schedule look like?
Okay, so I get up early, around 4:15.
Oh my God, we're up at the same time. That's depressing.
Yeah, well, of course, I'm about 3 hours later, but it's 4:15 relative to our time zones. And I get to the gym right when it opens at 5 a.m.
Oh
I do weightlifting 5 days a week for about an hour each day. I do a 5-day split, chest, then back, shoulders, legs, and then a chest upper body day on Friday. And I do abs 3 days a week.
Okay.
I do HIIT cardio for 20 to 30 minutes 4 days a week, and then weekend to rest.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah,
your volume beats mine.
Well, I found that what I needed the consistency. I needed
the routine.
Yeah, I needed the routine of every weekday morning. For a while, I was so afraid that I would lose the habit that I did things on the weekends too. They're pretty active recovery days. I walk a lot.
Well, you have kids.
Yeah, I have kids, exactly. So we keep busy on the weekends. But I'm not lifting weights certainly on the weekends.
I'm the same way. I do take 2 full rest kind of days on the weekends, but I'm a routine oriented person too. I need this is just what I do on these days, period. That's how I thrive.
When I was building the habit, it was so vital to me to go every day because I was afraid that if I missed a day, it would be too easy to miss another day.
Well, then it's an easy excuse slope, right?
Exactly.
I already missed yesterday, so this week's kind of a write-off, and it just goes downhill.
Exactly.
I love it. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about where your head was a year ago and what depression felt like for you and kind of your journey through antidepressants?
Okay, so I had been on antidepressants for about 10 years, give or take.
Okay.
And I started taking them when I was in a job that I just hated. I was burnt out. I was stuck. I was 270 pounds, thereabout.
Wow.
I was feeling like I just wanted to curl up in a ball and sleep all the time.
Okay.
I didn't
That's a common expression with depression.
Yeah, it is. It is. And that, so people who experience depression will often feel like they just don't want to do anything. I struggled to play with my kids. I mean, my son would want to play a video game, and I would struggle to get up and even do something like that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad. And how about we get into, this is a little bit dark. I apologize. But
no, thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, this was where my head was at its worst. I would drive to work hoping that I would get in a car accident or something so that I would not have to deal with
anything.
The struggles of work, of anything. Exactly. Yeah. I was never exactly suicidal. I didn't want to kill myself, but I certainly entertained the ideas of hurting myself.
I've had a lot of friends commit suicide, which is terrible and a story for another day. But one of the biggest, the ones that haven't succeeded when we've talked to them about it, is it started out years and years ago as they didn't want to actively do it, but it was okay if it was passive. So that's the same thing with the car accidents. You're not looking, that's not your goal. But if it happened, it'd be easier.
Exactly.
Is the way that they kind of explained it to me. So I understand that thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, that does, yeah.
That's a good way of putting it. I hadn't heard that, but yes, a passive.
Just the way it happened. Yeah. You're not actively seeking it.
Right. So anyway, then I started taking the pills, and they helped. They lifted the fog a bit. I felt okay. Not great, not necessarily even normal, but okay.
Did it take a lot of tweaking with your doses to kind of get to the okay spot?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I was taking 2 for a while that seemed to complement each other and sort of, balance the best out of any of them. And so it took a little bit of fiddling around with that, but it's weird when you first start taking them because you actually start to feel worse at first.
You do. As your body rejects them at first is basically what happens.
And then it sort of balanced out. And it was okay.
And so at this point you weren't doing anything nutritionally or exercising. You had just started with the antidepressants, right?
That's exactly right. So I basically had no desire to get fit at all. I had resigned myself to I had always been fat. I was always going to be fat. And I was always going to be unhealthy and out of shape.
So then you were still on the antidepressants when you went to this reunion. Had you been thinking about anything more up until that point?
I think I was tired of being on, I was tired of medicine. I was tired of the way it made me feel because it felt like it wasn't doing anything anymore by then. And now the previous summer, I had actually tried going off the
just cold turkey?
Yeah, just for the summer, or I think I might have done sort of an every other day thing. And
kind of weaned it down.
Yeah. And, during the summer, I live in Western Washington. We're well known for our cloudy weather and rain. And it's fairly common to have seasonal affective disorder around here. So I thought, hey, I'll give it a try. During July and August, I went off the medication for a while. After I had left that job, just to backtrack just a tiny bit, while still on the antidepressants, I actually did lose about 60 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah, all cardio. I really only was losing weight because I had time to go to the gym.
But that's still impressive, though, because with antidepressants and a lot of those medications, they're storage medications. Like, you don't typically lose weight with them.
Exactly.
So that's still way to go.
Yeah. So but then I started I started substitute teaching, and it just became too easy to not go to the gym anymore. And so and then eventually the healthy eating went by the wayside then too. I gained everything back, which is easy to do also on antidepressants because it's very easy to gain weight on them. And the doctor warned me about that, and he was already a little bit concerned because I was already overweight. So he said, you're really going to have to watch yourself. So at that time, so let me get back on track to what we were talking about. Sorry.
No, I do that all the time, is go off on tangents. You're good.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so I went off during the summer, which worked. Okay, that was that must have been 2017. But then I got back to the school year, and it was just a situation where I couldn't.
Well, it's hectic and busy, and all of a sudden real life happens again, right?
Exactly, and I just couldn't cope with the stress of the year, and everything that was going on. I had some pretty serious, I could hurt myself kinds of situations.
So you went back on.
I went back on the medication.
Which, just pointing out to listeners, is the smart choice. Again, we are not doctors. This is for motivational purposes. Please seek a doctor or continue with your medication.
Yes.
Continue.
I very much agree with that.
I can't stress that point enough.
Yeah, that was very much, with that situation, I absolutely needed the medication.
Yeah.
Because, if I was going to be a danger to myself or to anyone else, there are measures you need to take.
Well, and I think a lot of the times it's overlooked that you're not weak if you use antidepressants.
No, not at all.
And you are not weak if you can't pull through. It's not about pulling through. It's a chemical. It's more of a brain imbalance and a lot to do mentally. It's not just something that you overcome because you want to.
That's exactly right.
Like, it doesn't work that way. So my biggest goal is that no one thinks that they are weak or hopeless just by using the medication. Medication is there as a tool, and it's a great one when it's needed.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And like you've said very well at the beginning, this is my story and my situation. And I don't think that, I think that there are ways, even with a good exercise routine, that you would still need to have some medication for certain people would need to continue that.
I think so too. I love exercise and I love nutrition, but it doesn't make it a cure-all.
Absolutely.
In any sense of the matter. Yeah. But talk to me about how you were still on it, you went back on antidepressants.
Yeah.
And then what?
I went through my entire year, my school year, and then I decided, okay, it's summer again. Let's give it another try. So
Okay.
this was the summer of 2018. It was June 11th, I remember, that I decided that I was going to start losing weight, and I started changing my eating habits. I think I was probably still taking the medication for a couple more weeks until the weather started getting really nice again.
Okay.
Um, but I had also started a workout routine.
And how did you feel once you started eating better?
Well, when I started eating better, I think just the fact that I was shedding weight
Motivated you?
it was very motivating. And then you're like, okay, I want to take this to the next level, so I'm going to start really getting into a workout routine. Then I was doing that for about a month on my own, and then I got connected with someone through social media who very kindly started sending me workout circuits, essentially HIIT circuits, high intensity interval training circuits. And they were very challenging to me at the time.
I don't doubt that. It's like they're challenging to begin with, but when you're carrying extra weight, it's a lot of impact too.
Exactly. I was probably still 250 pounds
Wow.
when I started doing those. They were core and leg exercises mostly, just what she knew and was familiar with.
But it got you moving.
It got me moving. She really challenged me, and I really didn't think I could do a lot of those exercises. But I tell you what, when you really give it your best try, and you find you can kind of sort of do it, that is a big motivation. And
it is. Now so weight loss is never linear. It's never the scale does not always go down. No. How did you deal with the times that it fluctuated?
Well, honestly, it kept on the downward for a long time. It's actually fairly recently that I've hit the real plateau.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I think I got stuck when I was a little over 200 pounds, a little over, just about to enter Wonderland, the 100 number there. I was just kind of stuck there for a while, and at the time I was still in communication with this person, and she was really encouraging, and you're gonna make it, you're gonna get there. Don't worry about it too much, and eventually we broke through that plateau. By that time I was sort of creating my own circuits and doing my own thing, and was starting to get into weight training too.
Okay, so you were in the gym setting doing these.
I was.
Good on you.
Which was not easy at first.
No.
Because I went to the gym and I had people talking to me saying, you might want to try doing this or that, which was just really embarrassing to me. I had a hard time with that.
Cutting in here to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, ProSource. When it comes to working out at home, most people struggle using just their body weight, unless you kick ass at pull-ups already. For this reason alone, I always send my new clients home with resistance bands, especially new moms. They're simple to use, low impact, and beyond cheap. I am Dutch after all. ProSource offers resistance bands and any other home fitness equipment you can need at great prices. I truly believe that working out at home helps you stay consistent. And while I do have a killer setup now, I trained for years using just bands, one kettlebell, and some suspension straps. Especially as a new mom, resistance bands are the biggest bang for your buck. You don't need a fancy setup, but having some options to train your body properly helps. Head on over to ProSourceFit.com and save some money using code MAMABEAR15 and set yourself up, then stay consistent and smash some goals.
So I did them at home for a while, but then eventually I was like, oh, come on. They have this equipment I need, especially when she started giving me things to do with the Bosu ball.
Yeah.
I did not have.
And then when you get into lifting, it's a little bit.
and also battle ropes, which was great. I liked doing that a lot.
Talk to me about battle ropes, because one of the benefits of exercise, especially for me, is it's a great way to get out a lot of aggression and pent up everything and basically keep you sane.
Yeah, battle ropes are definitely one way to do that. I find it really weightlifting, heavy weightlifting is really the way that I can channel the aggression.
That's me too, and I tried kickboxing for a little bit, and it's fun. It's just not my thing, but picking up a really, really heavy bar, being able to pick it up feels amazing.
Yeah, I know. Pressing, squatting, deadlifting, things like that are, I mean, and you know, I grunt when I lift, and then people look at me like, oh man, there he goes again.
No, that just means you're serious.
Yeah.
I curse. I'm the cursor.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, and it's terrible because I work out with my girls too, so I always end up saying something like fidget. And so it's horrible, but my 2-year-old, if she stubs her toe, will say fidget. And I'm like, oh God.
That's funny. Well, it could be a lot worse.
Right? I try really hard there. Yeah, they mimic a lot apparently.
They do.
Now, with nutrition, how are you using nutrition? Obviously, you scaled back on calories, but did you change the types of foods you were eating?
Well, the fact is, if you eat more nutritious food, you can just eat more food.
You don't say.
Yeah, that's what you know. Nutritious food has fewer calories. So I could eat. And the thing is, I've never said to myself, "You absolutely can never have this or that."
Good.
Because I think that can be dangerous, because then you just want it more.
Yeah, it's a dumb way to do it. It just doesn't work. And at some point in time, you're going to want to eat the damn cake.
Exactly.
So,
So I mean, I do work in weekly. You could call it a cheat meal. You could call it a refeed meal, whatever you want to call it. But you know, I'll have pizza, or I'll have something, ice cream, something that I don't have during the week. But you know, if I want to have a piece of chocolate or something like that, even during my regular weekly routine, as long as I work it into my calories, and now I use macros as well.
Okay, so you learned about them.
I track my macros, especially as a weightlifter. It's important to especially get certain amounts of protein and carb and fats, just to make sure everything's working the way it should.
But the truth is, you also, and I struggle with this too because I'm very goal oriented, but in the recent years, I've had to remind myself that there is such thing as life. And so it's okay to have the ice cream, pizza, chocolate, whatever you want on a Tuesday every so often, and not a Friday.
That's true. That's
so
true.
So you kind of have to stay sane that way too, because I find when you get overly restrictive, it's not a beneficial situation either.
I agree. I've really I learned early on, because I've had the up and down diet for various times in my life.
Yeah.
But the ones that were most successful were not the diet that said you can't have this or that, but the ones that said, well, you can have what you want, you just need to moderate it.
Yeah. You can have what you want, just don't be a dumbass.
Exactly.
It's basically how the diet works.
Exactly. And those were the ones that were always the most successful for me.
Yeah. They normally are. Mainly because they just keep you sane.
Exactly.
Right? Like over restrictive isn't sane.
It's yeah, I mean I don't I try not to come down on people's diets at all. It's like, hey, if you want to do it that way, I'm happy to allow you to do that. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to criticize you, but at the same time, don't criticize me for doing it the way that I'm.
That's how I feel. I have no problem if you want to eat. I don't even the cabbage soup diet. Knock yourself out. Yeah. But I am not going to do that. And I hope it makes you happy though, because I don't think that you should be on any kind of food, diet, or just way of eating that you truly despise. I just don't think it's beneficial mentally or physically. So I disagree with that more or less. If you love keto or you love carnivore or anything, rock it.
The best diet, and this is cliche, but the best diet is the one that you can stick to, and it's
Yep. No, it's true, and you'll stick to one that you semi-enjoy. So, and it's gonna look different for absolutely anyone.
Absolutely.
Okay, we so got off topic there, but
that's okay. That's okay.
I did want to ask you, so that summer you started weightlifting and you learned a little bit more about nutrition. You were watching that and you went off your antidepressants.
I did.
Now, how were your energy levels?
Oh, my energy levels were very high. Though I got to admit, when I first started, I really went all out. I was way too low on my calories.
Okay.
Especially for weightlifting. I was probably doing 1,700 calories a day.
Whoa.
Which for a guy
it's very low.
6'1",
yeah.
Trying to build muscle, that's not going to be very effective.
No, you'll burn out.
Exactly. And I started to realize that I was not, I wasn't pushing as much weight. I didn't really have a method or a program that I was following. I had an app that sort of created workouts for me.
The happy random workouts?
Yeah, but I didn't understand them. I didn't know why they were doing them, why the programming was happening the way it was. I was getting very confused and really frustrated. I didn't really know how much I should be eating. My brother-in-law is a natural weightlifter, but I was even afraid to ask him.
You never want to ask family, though. You never want to take advice from friends or family that way. You just don't.
Yeah. And, well, the thing is, I actually, now that I kind of know everything that I need to know for that, I think he's on the right track. I think he's doing pretty much what I would be doing.
Oh,
he was
that's
bulking
funny.
at the time, so I probably would not have wanted to eat as much as he was.
Yeah.
But I definitely needed to be eating more than I was. And
yeah, that's pretty low.
Yeah, and especially if you're exercising a lot, that's just not enough.
That's a hard lesson to learn, though, for anyone, let alone someone coming from an extreme weight loss perspective, though, is that you actually, if you shift your goals towards performance, weight loss typically comes because you change your body shape.
Yep.
But with performance, you have to actually fuel. You cannot be in a chronic calorie deficit. It just doesn't work. And from anyone with a major weight loss goal, I think that's harder than any other hurdle that they have to jump over, is getting that through someone's head.
I would agree. And so I was afraid to up my calories at first.
Yeah. Because you think you're going to gain it all back.
Yep. And, you know, for someone like me who was overweight my whole life, that was a real fear. So I found some information online. Eventually I found a great book that I've gotten a lot of, that has been indispensable, that sort of laid out the scientific bases behind weight loss and muscle gain, or fat loss and muscle gain, I should say. What's that?
Which book?
It is called Bigger, Leaner, Stronger by Mike Matthews. And I highly recommend it. He also has a version for women called Thinner, Leaner, Stronger.
Perfect. I will link to that in the show notes, everyone, just in case you do want to kind of check out that book, which is because it's always nice to have something to guide you, because it's true, a lot of people it's confusing.
Yeah, this I'm actually reading it again.
Oh, I love books like that.
Yeah, he just came out with a third edition, and so I'm
nice.
Third edition. And yeah, I cannot speak highly of it enough. And so it's been great. So my energy levels were fluctuating a little bit until I got that calorie deficit in the right place. Because I'm just finishing up my cut. I'm kind of at maintenance levels now.
Okay.
And so I'm enjoying the little extra energy that I've had over the past couple weeks. It's been really good.
Good.
So just finding that sweet spot.
And now tell me about your family during this entire transformation, because weight loss can be challenging for family members too when someone is striving for a goal. But I can only imagine it would be doubly challenged in terms of coming off your medication.
Yeah, I think so. There was, and I think, looking back on the last summer, there was a little bit of withdrawal that occurred. I would have some mood swings and things like that. But overall, I found that with the exercise routine, with that endorphin rush, with
the workout high, it's a real thing.
It's very much a real thing. Because you got all those circuits firing.
Yeah.
In new ways, your brain is literally being rewired through exercise, and that's a whole fascinating subject on its own, but that I won't get into. But just rest assured, that's how it literally works. Your brain rewires how you your reward centers in your brain say, "Ooh, exercise is good. It makes me feel good." It really will. Even though there are times of pain, and all those sorts of things that ache. Overall, those endorphins and things will make you feel really, really good after you're done with your workout.
Which brings me to one question I forgot to ask. So, obviously, being overweight, you did enjoy exercise for a while. When did it shift so that you now look forward to your workouts instead of them being something that you have to do?
Wow.
Like, do you remember that shift?
That's a good question. Well, it almost became habit first.
Okay.
Where I just said, I'm going every day. I'm going to go, so I might as well
not hate it.
Well, I think when you see the success.
Okay.
When you see success and you feel that workout high, you just find a switch gets flipped and you do really enjoy it.
Nice.
That's been my experience, certainly.
I like it.
I was never particularly active as a kid or as an adult.
I actually wasn't either, and everyone seems to think that clearly I played sports when I was younger and was very active, but I was not. I was really antisocial and a crazy introvert and a crazy smoker until I was like 25, so.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I know. Everyone just assumes because of how fit I am now and how much I love it that I grew up really fit, but no.
Yeah, I certainly didn't either. And, my brother was into that. My dad weightlifted in his youth and all those sorts of things. And my parents are still very active, or actually more active now that they're retired than they were when they were
oh, I bet.
kids. But yeah, so it's in my family. I never personally liked sports. I actually even find now that I hate exercise classes. I just don't enjoy them at all.
No, I don't either. And I still don't enjoy sports. I'm not overly coordinated that way, so it just brings on a whole new level of anxiety because everyone thinks that I'm going to be really good at them, and I'm not.
Yeah. That's kind of the way I feel. So I really like weightlifting because it's very much a solo endeavor.
Yeah.
You can just, be safe. Don't be stupid.
I'm the same way.
When you're doing those heavy weights, but but it I love that I can put on my headphones and I can focus in on what my body is doing, and I can just do that on my own. My wife, on the other hand, loves her exercise class.
Does she?
Yeah, she is going to be starting. She's actually going to be adding to the number of times she does it during the week. So
good for her. If you love it, rock it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, again, what it comes down to. If the best diet is the one you can stick to, the best exercise program is the one you love. Yep,
exactly. Now, would you say she was a really big support while you were going through all these changes? Because you've made quite a few.
Yeah, she was. She actually was on exactly the same medication I was. Her doctor, and she just went to her doctor and said, I don't feel any better on this medication than off it. And so her doctor actually advised her to stop taking it.
Really?
Yeah. I, on the other hand, I went through my summer process, and when I found what it came down to, it was a matter of, now that I was in the exercise program and just regularly through a full summer of habit had not been on the medication but was exercising, was having this this endorphin rush or whatever. I found that when I got back into school, this time I didn't need it. I still had rough days.
You had an outlet.
Yeah, I still had rough days, but I could manage it. I could manage it without feeling like I was going to curl up in a ball.
Yeah.
And be stuck.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's me, though. That's me. My wife was lucky enough to have a similar situation. Now, you asked about how my family, how they went along with this. The kids still struggle with it. I mean, we have the same dinner every night, and it's not generally, it's stuff that everyone likes.
Yep.
We do have a lot of foods that are based on chicken breast and healthy things, ground turkey and different things like that. But they like them. They like them too. And my wife pretty much eats the same as I do. She's actually lost 80 pounds herself.
Oh my God! Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. So
Wow, you guys are the fit couple now. How does that feel?
We are. I mean, some of the posts I put on social media, I've done some of our comparison pictures from last year to this year, and it's really.
I didn't realize she had lost that much as well. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool story, I gotta say.
That is, and what a great example for your kids too. Like, that's a huge achievement that you worked for something.
Yeah, and my kids still struggle with their weight. My daughter especially.
Okay.
We're really trying to instill the healthy habits in her, but we were both in bad habits for a long time.
Well, and I think that's something that at least you share with her and can discuss with her.
Yes.
You've been on that spectrum too. It's not that it's a new thing to you, so at least you're able to communicate with her.
Yes, we are.
Wow. So 100 pounds down, what tips would you give anyone finding themselves in your spot? So it's one thing you wish you could go back and tell your past self.
Well, I would tell myself a couple of things. First of all, I wish I had started earlier.
I think everyone says that.
Yeah. And I if I had just, as a kid, said, okay, I'm going to do something. But when you're a kid, you don't necessarily think that way.
No.
All I knew is I didn't like sports and I didn't like PE, But I could have found something that I enjoyed doing, I'm sure. So when I first realized I was having the depression struggles, which was in my 30s, I wish I had the drive to start exercising and eating healthy then as well. At the time, I was convinced by some voices out there that the meds were the only way that I could overcome it. And for some people, they are. Don't get me wrong. For some people, they absolutely are. But for me, because I had a moderate depression, not a severe depression, or a bipolar depression or something of that nature.
Which are very much more chemical imbalances.
Exactly.
As well.
Exactly. Mine was more of a lack of serotonin.
Okay.
Just not enough of certain chemicals. Whereas bipolar is much more serious than anything.
Yeah. It's at the extreme end.
Yeah. So in my case, though, it was manageable without medication, or I found it to be. Now, of course, I still have difficult days.
Everyone does.
The last two have been brutal. I gotta admit, but you know what? It's manageable. It's manageable. I still got up this morning. I still did my workout.
Which I would like to point out is because it's now routine and habit. So once you develop those it's not a question of whether or not you're going to work out. It's just what you do on Monday mornings because it's Monday morning. Exactly. So when you get to that point, it's the routine that saves you in days like that. When you don't want to work out and it's just kind of a shit day and the old you would have been like, well, I'm fine, I have better stuff to do. It's the routine that forces you.
Exactly. And frankly, I didn't sleep well last night, but you know what? I was up at 4:30 anyway, so it's like, okay, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go work out. I'm up anyway.
Yep.
So let's go.
Well, and you probably felt better after you did.
I did.
So
and,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I'm the exact same way. So it's rare that I regret doing the workout.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for today. So, Brian, thank you millions for coming into the show and sharing your journey. It is insanely inspirational. And your wife's. That's just impressive.
Yeah, I'm glad that I was able to say something about that too.
That's amazing. So I follow you on Twitter, and that's kind of where we connected. So I see how hard you're working. I still can't believe that it's a full 100 pounds, but after hearing your story, I love how much life has changed for you. So for anyone who wants to connect with Brian and follow along with his journey, you can hit him up on Twitter at becoming_Brian K, which I will link to in the show notes because I can't spell anything when people tell me on podcasts. So it's true. Yeah. So once again, I can't thank you all enough for listening into episode 14 today. Remember, if you're in need of fitness tips, workouts, and amazingly healthy recipes, to check out my website at www.fitasmamabear.com. You can also hit up the show notes on my website to find and connect with Brian. And if you're loving what you're listening to, please subscribe, rate, and share the podcast. Not only does this give some helpful information to others who may not know where to find it, but it also helps me out too so that I can keep providing you with more episodes. So on that note, check back soon to catch the next episode of the Fit as a Mama Bear podcast, and have a fantastic night.